And we're coming to a point where if you're Hillary Clinton, you're honestly probably starting to think about not just whether you will win, but how big your win will be. And then you say that Donald Trump has the best day in the entire world, completely outperforms expectations, and he wins all of the toss-up states. He wins all 5 of those states, plus that electoral college vote in Maine that he's after. If he wins all of the toss-ups, which would be insane because nobody wins all of the toss-up states, even if Donald Trump did win all of the toss-up states, he would still lose.
Be a wake-up call to the Republican Party. Despite Boris thinking that Donald Trump could win New York, like this, the presidential race is over.
Could I just cut through? I have one thing to say, one thing only, and that is that this race is over. Tomorrow morning, the money will dry up. The Republicans will start to hide. Trump has no place to go. This race, effectively, as of tonight, is no longer a presidential race. I mean, everything I know about presidential politics, and I've been through 5 of them, I've never seen one like this. This race is over. You might as well accept it. And the question now is, how do you minimize damage? And the only way you can do that, it seems to me, is to try to grab hold of some old conservative value things and do what Mondale did in '84, which was try to save a few people down ballot. But as far as Donald Trump's concerned, it will never, ever, ever happen.
I don't believe you.
Hey soldiers, so we have an industry out there that the majority of Americans believe is totally corrupt, untrustworthy, and downright an enemy of we, the people. And I bet you guessed which industry that is. That industry is one of the reasons why more people are turning to platforms like this, okay, to become informed, because the news, what they do is they inflame. It is their stock and trade. That, and, for the most part, being the information agent or the public relations agent for the left. That's what the news is by and large today. And if you go back and you watch the church committee hearings, I encourage you to do that. I might do something on the channel with regard to that, because here at the Soldiers of Finance channel, we do things for information purposes, not necessarily views, and it shows. But in all seriousness, though, look, we're going to get into this survey that indicates that the media, people actually believe the media is the enemy of the people here in America. And it's sad, because what the media was supposed to be was that component of society that would speak truth to power, that will hold the elected officials accountable. And so far, I mean, in this day and age, they're just carrying the water for them, okay? They're striving to make them celebrities, part of them, and either, demonizing one group or popularizing and again, making celebrities of another group, another side of the aisle. Look at Ocasio-Cortez, okay? The woman is really, she's a celebrity, okay? When you think of her, she fits right in with the pop culture denizens and has transcended. She's not what you think of. She's not what I think of. When I think of, a representative from Congress, okay, who's supposed to be deliberative, not someone who, she went down to the border and did her little act where she acted like she was so upset and she was crying. And, what are you crying for, lady? You're a legislature. Go and, write up a bill to address your issue here. You're crying? What the hell is that all about? Look, guys. Speaking of not being able to trust the news, if you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. Enlist, become a soldier of finance. Now, if you're already a soldier, it might be time for you to get promoted. And the way you can do that is to join the Officers Club. That's our membership. Now, we've got members. I thank these members for, glomming on to it. And they're in there. They're interacting. They're watching the videos. They're doing all kinds of things. The content that we have inside that member section is going to blow you away, because what we're doing is we're taking it a step further. We give news and product reviews and some things like that here. in that members section, the Officers Club, what we do is we get down to the nitty gritty and we start digging into exactly how to navigate this economy, to understand these markets. So go ahead, take a look at that. There's a link in the description. Guys, hit the thumbs up button. It's so important. It helps spread the message. Thank you so much. Almost 2/3 of Americans view media as, quote, truly the enemy of the people. This is according to a new Rasmussen poll, which found that almost 2/3 of Americans believe the media is bad news, pun intended. The survey found that a total of 59% of likely voters either strongly or somewhat agree with that statement. Among Republicans, the belief is even more prevalent at 77%. Only a slim majority of Democrats disagree. All right, so people are, the left and the right, they're saying, what is this? What is this? We sit up here and we watch this, and I come away and I walk out of my front door, I look at my neighbor and I want to strangle him or her, okay? Because the news is so inflammatory, okay? But in reality, that doesn't happen. That whole vision of America that is spouted on these major news networks, the local news networks, and the network news, CBS, which literally means CBS, NBC, nothing but coonery, and ABC, ass backward and country. Those are the network news providers. People are saying, you know what, I gotta start rejecting this crap. The more people I encourage to turn off the news, they tell me, they say, hey, look, I'm a week in and I feel better, okay? I haven't watched any news, local news, network news, or cable news, okay? Now, you do see Bloomberg running in the background. I got that up because it's displaying financial information, but it's always turned down. Bloomberg's vanilla, it's just like the NPR of financial news, so I don't need to hear it. But I do need to watch out for what's going on in the financial markets, okay? I do run a financial services company, right? But other than that, no, man. People tell me all the time, Tyrone, thank you so much for telling me to turn that news off. And then the other thing is this, as far as being informed, this is what I tell people. You're really not interested in all of the news that the networks curate for you, okay? This is another reason why that platform is dying. You're not interested in all of that, okay? I don't care what violent act happened in Baltimore City today. That's where we get our local news from, or we would if we had cable, which we don't. Don't care about the political corruption in Baltimore City. Don't care about it at all, okay? So why am I don't need the weather that's on the phone. I don't pay any attention to pro sports. So therefore, I don't need to waste my time with that, okay? I don't need to wait for Stan Blather to come on and give me 2 minutes of what's going on with major news items like the debt ceiling, for example, okay? Does this person even really understand it in depth? And then we have the cable news providers. They have to fill the time because they're 24-hour operations. So it's likely you're going to see coverage of a car chase 3,000 miles away from you, doesn't have a damn thing to do with you, in order to fill the time. Now, the other thing that these news organizations do to a fairly well is they divide. Case in point. Right now, we've got an issue that occurred in Maryland where some people tried to beat up a kid at school. The kid went home. The people, 2 of whom were adults, got in a car and drove to this person's home, ended up beating the father to death. Right here in Maryland, this happened. Now, as of right now, I have not read any stories where they've identified the ethnicity of the perpetrators, of the alleged perpetrators, of any suspects. Okay? This is the kind of thing the news does. Now, if it was a case where someone of a Caucasian persuasion got in a car and drove to my house, beat the hell out of me, oh, you know it. You know every detail. They started out with white guy kills black guy. Okay? White guy kills black scholar who was on the way to visit his grandmother. So this is the type of thing that the news does. And it's so contrary to the lives that we lead, people are waking up to it. Because they're saying, you know what? I got friends of all persuasions. And I interact with them just fine. Okay? So the poll also noted that among Democrats, there has been an 11-point drop in trust in the media. Overall, a majority of 52% of Americans say they do not trust the political news they are getting from the establishment media. And you know, also a lot of this has to do with the fact that the media will not speak truth to power. When the Biden administration came and tried to change, well, successfully actually, change the definition of recession, the media just went along with that. They didn't question it, okay? They didn't say, no, this is not what has been done in the past. Here are our archives. We can prove it to you. So we're not going to let you do that, Mr. President. We are in a recession. Might be a light one, but we are in one. The media is not questioning the manipulation of the unemployment numbers, the manipulation of the GDP. They're just going along with it. Americans know better. They know that they cannot trust this data because the media is in league with the left. The survey also found that 52% believe the media is biased toward Democrats. It's a majority. This is yet another example of how Americans hold almost wholly opposite opinions to liberal corporate media narratives. A new Harris-Harvard poll released earlier this week also demonstrated how despised the leftist media has become. In the age of mass Silicon Valley censorship, this is, kind of bad because when you come out and you get on social media, you find that the censorship on social media is so egregious. Let me give you an example of just how egregious. I was literally talking to a friend about Dutch water management techniques. Okay. Now, there is a structure, an engineered structure that is spelled D-Y-K-E. Okay. It's a piece of engineering. It's kind of like a dam. All right. Functions similarly. So we're discussing that on Facebook and, Mark Zuckerberg's platform. And I got, a few days later, I got a note saying that I had engaged in hate speech. And I just bust out laughing. I'm like, what? If this was a person that adjudicated this, then that is a pathetic basement dweller who needs to understand that the slur associated with that spelling postdates a piece of technology, all right, an actual piece of technology, war of words, right? If it's the algorithm, then it's especially egregious because that algorithm should be able to search for the context with which we were having the discussion in. Okay, so social media is kind of a tripwire as well. Here we are communicating and I'm able to get this message out to you, but in many cases I have to walk on eggshells if I want it widely distributed, right? Okay, so we have to be intelligent about that, more intelligent than the algorithm. So the next time I talk about Dutch water management techniques, I will definitely keep that in mind. So there you have it, guys. Look, the news, trust me, it's something that if you're still watching it, you used to watch the evening news. We used to watch Walter Cronkite back in the day when we were coming up. My grandfather used to turn it on and watch Walter Cronkite. It was the thing you did. Now, this was before. This predates the 24-hour news cycle. Back in the day, when I was coming up, okay, you had an hour's worth of local news, a half hour's worth of what they call world news, which was really just national news, unless the U.S. was engaged in a war somewhere, then they would cover, they cover that. But you had a total of 90 minutes of news in the evening, okay? You had the 11 o'clock news, which was a half an hour. Some people stayed up for it, like my grandfather. Most people just took their asses to bed. And that was it. That's all you had, okay, with regard to news. Then CNN came along and we, got into the 24-hour news cycle. Back then, also TV went off, all right? At a certain time, we were allowed to stay up as late as we wanted to on Friday nights. Saturday, we had to go to bed at 10 o'clock because we had church. Monday through Friday, Sunday, rather, through Thursday, we had to go to bed at 9 o'clock because we had school. But on Friday nights, we could stay up as late as we wanted to. And if you could make it to the national anthem when they aired that, and you were some kind of kid, man. Because after that national anthem aired, TV went off, okay? Static or a test pattern. And you either went to bed, found something else to do, until it started broadcasting again the next day. And the world was a simpler place. Look, guys, I want you to go ahead and I want you to watch this video. Retired and out of money. I don't want anyone under the sound of my voice. I don't want anyone to be in this sad situation. Look at how these retirees are having to deal with being out on the street in what should be their golden years. Now, why did this happen? Quite simply, they ran out of money. You need to watch that video so that you can understand how to prevent that from happening to you and your loved ones. Guys, I will talk to you soon.